Immigration New Zealand say there was no political involvement in granting a visa to former Manus Island detainee Behrouz Boochani, and he won't be getting any special treatment if he applies for asylum here. The Kurdish-Iranian writer and journalist, who for years advocated on behalf of his fellow Manus Island detainees about their living conditions, landed in Christchurch this morning. Now, while in detention, he won 2 major Australian literature awards for his book No Friends But the Mountains, which he wrote on his mobile phone. Mr Boochani has been granted a 1-month visitor visa to attend a literature festival in the city later this month, but he's yet to say whether he plans on staying longer. Our Christchurch reporter Anan Zaki filed this report.
After 6 years in detention at Manus Island, where the Australian government sent asylum seekers, Behrouz Boochani is a free man. Mr Boochani says he is here legally by obtaining a passport from the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees and obtaining a visitor's visa after being sponsored by Amnesty New Zealand. But he says he is yet to decide whether or not to seek asylum in New Zealand. His journey from Port Moresby in Papua New Guinea to New Zealand was shrouded in secrecy, with only a handful of people being made aware of his plans.
But in Port Moresby airport, they, asked me many questions. They, contacted the immigration in New Zealand, I think. And so I was about to miss the flight,
When Mr Boochani arrived in the Philippines for transit, he was asked the same questions. Even when he arrived in New Zealand, he was surprised by the level of security at Auckland Airport's Immigration and Customs before he flew to Christchurch.
Everyone went in a different way, but they told me you should go from this way. So they searched my bags. It is fun, I understand. Just I want to say that how it's hard to be a refugee in this world.
Mr Boochani was welcomed to New Zealand by former refugee and Green MP Behrouz Boochani. Standing alongside him at the airport, she said she doesn't believe Mr Boochani's arrival will create tension in trans-Tasman relations, as Australia has previously rejected New Zealand's offers to resettle Manus Island refugees.
No, because we're just applying New Zealand law, and the beauty of it is that it hasn't been politicised, and it shouldn't be when people are just accessing their ordinary rights.
Mr Boochani was invited to New Zealand by literature festival Word Christchurch. Upon his arrival, he was greeted in Te Reo by Ngāi Tahu and then welcomed by Christchurch Mayor Leanne Dalzell. Word Christchurch literary director Rachel King says inviting him to New Zealand was actually quite straightforward. She says the festival has an agreement with Immigration New Zealand to allow speakers to attend on a visitor's visa instead of a work visa. Ms King says she is elated to see Mr Boochani in Christchurch.
It was amazing, I'm not going to lie. It's the most exciting thing that's ever happened to Word Christchurch. It's a huge moment for literature, and a testament to the power of literature that a book can do this to bring somebody away from a place like Manus Island, Papua New Guinea, and bring them to New Zealand.
Before leaving Port Moresby, Mr Boochani told the ABC he would never be going back, saying he wants to be somewhere where he is a person, not just a number. He was recently accepted for resettlement in the United States and said he was investigating whether he could fly from New Zealand to the US once the process was completed. Immigration New Zealand Deputy Chief Executive Greg Patchell says should Mr Boochani claim asylum here, his claim will be decided independently with no involvement by ministers. Mr Boochani will now take a break in Christchurch after his long travels, before flying back to Auckland again tomorrow. Mō te hōtaka o te ahipone, ko Anan Zaki tēnei.